advice of a young Ron Browz, who once famously said, "No wifin in the club, give me $20, give me $20, give me $20. And he was planning to enter the 15 million Millionaire Best Ball Tournament on Draftkings, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to draft a team live. We've done some warm-ups, and I think I might do a warm-up before this, but I don't know if I can handle it psychologically. It does mess with your mind when you're playing a $1 tournament on DraftKings. There's no rhyme or reason. The person will take a quarterback after taking 3 straight running backs and no wide receivers. And I don't know if I'm mentally prepared for that when I'm drafting a team in this tournament when I'm planning to win $2 million. Quite a bit of news has come down the pipeline. Brian Robinson out of nowhere. Get out of here, man. Get out of the club. You are out of here. We don't want to pay you. We don't want to pay McLaurin. We're going to ride with Jaden and Debo. We don't care about fuck y'all. We got JCM. Jacory Merritt. Croskey? No. Jacory. I'm telling you, JCM. But he says, call me Bill. How you get Bill from Jacory, I don't understand. Why not Corey? Why not Jackie? No. Bill. Makes sense and fits, right? Nothing calling your running back, hey Bill, get in there, bud. But that's coming down. Tampa Bay wide receivers depth is looking kind of thin. A position of strength, perhaps, in the beginning of the season or the beginning of the off season, with potentially Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Igbuka, Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer, Tez Johnson. It's now down to possibly 4. Chris Godwin, unsure. We're not sure if he's going to come back for week 1 yet. Might be a candidate of the pup list. We're not sure yet. The team hasn't released that information. And now I just read that Jalen McMillan might be out until week 9. Okay. So the wide receiver 3-4 roles are up for grabs if Godwin is also missing. So that's going to be a nice little fight in the Coliseum, right? With Trey Palmer, Tez Johnson, Raheem Jarrett kicking each other's asses trying to get the wide receiver 3 role. But don't forget our man, Kate Otten. He slowly enters the chat, says, I'm back. Whatever injury I was dealing with in the preseason is done. I am back. And I'm back to also siphon off some targets. And we still have Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker and possibly Rachaad White, who we're not sure what his injury status is. So there's still some good availability on Tampa Bay that we probably could get in this draft. And like I said, JCM Bill is also going to be shooting up the draft boards. Judkins is still not signed, so his preliminary shoot up the draft boards was maybe a little bit too early. Okay. So we're not sure as to what's going to happen with that right now. Dylan Sampson is not going out anywhere. He's keeping himself up in the falling down the draft board, but still keeping himself as the number 1 running back so far, with Jerome Ford possibly giving him some a little bit of competition. But last week on the joint practices, he was the first. Dylan Sampson was the first one taking the reps. So things like that, right? Jumping for the Quinshon Judkins news, and he's jumping up. But don't forget Dylan Sampson, right? And I think it's a great hedge. And like I said, falling down the draft board. So yeah, a lot of information coming out. This week is going to be the last week of preseason. So you're going to see some starters start the game and possibly play a quarter. You're going to get some cuts coming up fast and furious. And yeah, a lot of these things that we were kind of figuring out, obviously the name Daniel Jones, the starting quarterback of the Colts, what a big announcement for a franchise having to deal with Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, and naming Daniel Jones your quarterback. I don't know. It just kind of, feels like when you have to get back together with your toxic ex-girlfriend after the new one that you had, the love of your life, the one that was the sweetest, decides that she doesn't want to be with you anymore. So you decide to go back to your toxic ex-girlfriend, and that's what we have when we are appointing Daniel Jones as your starting quarterback. Hasn't looked that great in preseason. I understand, still preseason and still working out the kinks, but it's Daniel Jones, guys. Come on. I feel sorry for these coaches, Colts coaches that are fighting for their jobs, and they're deciding between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones. You might as well just quit and just find a job before the season starts. But who am I to say what those guys are thinking, especially when they have such a hard decision, coming out of a hard decision between Daniel Jones and A-Rich. So without further ado, your dad is ready. Give me $20. Let's enter in this tournament. So it's where are we at right now in terms of the number of entrants? If you can tell here. Anyways, I think it's about 600,000 people have entered so far, and double check on that one, but yeah, 614,000 people have entered, 882,000 spots. So you do have to be a bit different. Reaching might not be a bad idea if you have strong conviction for a player or for a team and want to build that stack. Forget the ADP. ADP does not matter. In this tournament, if you stick to ADP, chances are very hard to win because a lot of teams are going to be very similar to yours. Especially if they're drafting at a certain, obviously if they're drafting the same spot as you. ADP has obviously changed as the season's gone, as the off season has gone on and training camps have begun. Obviously there's a bit of changes in there, but these kind of tournaments you gotta kind of have to reach. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to see what kind of players we get in the first couple of rounds and then build my team that way. As you can see, the draft board is up. We are at pick 11 near the end of the draft, so a little bit of movement back there. Obviously Puka Nacua has fallen quite far, as he's fallen to the second round now in ADP, 13th pick ADP, and that's all because of Stafford, right? Nothing but Puka. Puka's looked fine, I guess. They don't play in the preseason, but no injury concerns for Puka, but just because of Stafford's injury concerns, he's dropped quite a bit. I think he was going pick 7 or 8 and in the beginning of July, so got to deal with that. Genty, he's me and him were neck to neck in yards per carry in the preseason. I was at 0, he was at minus 0.33. He ended up putting up a good yardage total in the second preseason game. He has surpassed me. I'm second on the stats list now. So Genty is climbing back. He puts his hand up and says, remember me, guys. I was going around the 9th or 10th pick, and I'm now in the second round as well, but maybe coming back up as people think that, he can churn out positive yards. Brian Thomas Jr. drops a bit. We've got Drake London kind of in the same spot. Devon Achane, injury, calf. Okay, that's scary. Because you know what other first round running back had an injured calf last year? Christian McCaffrey, and that didn't go too well. So calves are, I don't know, man. I'm kind of nervous about that. I really don't like hearing that. Words kind of scarred me for life, especially when I picked CMC first in my redraft league with my buddies. So I know how that feels. So Achane, I think, will drop quite a bit until we get some more clarification. And I think in the opposite, Chase Brown is going to take his spot. So you're going to see that flip-flop of Chase Brown maybe kind of getting to the back end of the back end of the first round, or maybe early second round, and Devon Achane falling, I believe, to the middle of the second round, even an end of the second round, as this injury concern kind of lingers. So yeah, like I said, a lot of news coming in. You gotta keep your ear on the beat, figure out what's going on. Otherwise, you are going at a big disadvantage when you're entering these drafts if you have no idea what the previous day's news was. I would recommend going on X. 32 Beat Writers is an account that you can follow, and they are awesome at providing that information. So I am going to go ahead with my pick here. It's coming up here pretty quick. I was looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't think he's a bad pick in that end of that first, and GNT goes. So I'm going to do something. Let's go with Derrick Henry. Obviously not a PPR, not the greatest PPR because he doesn't catch many passes, but man, can that guy put up yardage, over 100 yards pretty much, which gets you an extra 3 points, and also puts up touchdowns. Both of those things are good things, so I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. Like I said, not a PPR dream, but when he gets close to that goal line, that man is going to score, and no one's stopping him. So yeah, I'm facing a little bit of a dilemma now. There's Neighbors, there's Puka, there's Brian Thomas, and there's London. I will get to pick one of these 4 players. So the player after me, or the drafter after me, has taken Chase Brown in the first round, pick number 12, and pick number 13 takes Malik Neighbors. I am going to take Drake London. So kind of going back to the Derrick Henry pick. So Lamar Jackson threw the most touchdowns he's ever thrown in his career. I think over 40, I believe. Let's just confirm that here. So he threw 45 touchdowns when his previous high was about, well, I don't know if I have previous highs, but 45 touchdowns is a lot for Lamar Jackson. So if we can siphon off a few of those touchdowns that probably got away from Derrick Henry last year, Derrick Henry's looking a lot better. So even though he had a great season last year, nothing to take away from what he did last year, it was awesome. But even if he gets a few more touchdowns, that's going to be awesome too. So Derrick Henry with my first pick in the first round at pick number 11. And then the drafter after me took Chase Brown and Malik Neighbors. By him taking Malik Neighbors, that made my decision a lot easier. Like I said, you can't go wrong, okay? Puka, Brian Thomas, Drake London. Maybe people might think Puka's a little bit more elite. Yeah, for the PPR, Stafford's injury does kind of concern me a bit. But at the same time, that might be the risk of, the risk of Stafford. And if he comes out all right, that's a win-win, right? If you have a Puka. So like for this guy, for example, this drafter took Amon-Ra and Puka. You can't go wrong with like that, right? You got your 2 number 1 wide receivers, and you're looking good, right, for wide receivers as you start off with. Brian Thomas goes after. I think he's going to do well again. Liam Cohen is bringing in a better offense. He's going to be set up for success. I took Drake London because my thoughts on the Falcons are they're awesome. They do not rotate players. They stick to what works, and they are very concentrated offense. Okay. I know there's concerns about Bijan, but then after, the second half of the season, Bijan was getting fed and he was the primary running back. No more Algier, get the hell out of the club. And then you have Drake London getting fed. Darnell Mooney is obviously a question mark. When he comes back, he's going to be the wide receiver 2. And then you have Ray McLeod in the slot, and you have Kyle Pitts. Okay, they don't mess with that shit. They are gonna stick to those guys, and I think that Drake London is set up for a prime season. The first year of Michael Penix. If anything, Michael Penix sucks. Kirk Cousins will come in, and Kirk Cousins also loves targeting Drake London. So we're good. It's a win-win situation. Drake London will get fed this year. And you're playing in that little wild division with Tampa Bay, Carolina. Tampa Bay, Carolina. Oh my God. How do I forget the other team? Wow. What is wrong with me? Carolina, Tampa Bay, and New Orleans. Oh my God. I should probably stop doing fantasy football stuff if I don't even know what teams are in what division. Sorry. A little bit of lapse there in brain. But anyways, so you're playing in a division that's not the greatest defensively, and so you have a lot of opportunities for high scoring games, which we saw last year. So I think being in that offense, a little bit of continuity with the coaching staff coming into as their second year, like I said, concentrated offense, and then you have Michael Penix, who can actually throw the ball further than 10, 15 yards like Cousins was doing last year, was unable to do last year. But I think apparently Cousins says he's healthy now. His shoulder is fine after suffering that injury that wasn't very well documented unless you were watching Quarterback on Netflix. But if he was to come in for any reason, he loves targeting Drake. The Drake is going to be fine. So let's just kind of go through the teams. Let's see if there's any surprises. Gibbs and Achane, that's not a bad build right there when you got two pass catching running backs in a PPR draft. That looks good if Achane's all good. Big Scene 07. You know what it is? The third draft slot somehow auto defaults. Something happens and it defaults to 3 running backs. You got Barkley, Bucky Irving, and Kyron Williams. But let me just quickly make my pick and then we'll kind of go through the draft board after that. So a couple of options here. I like George Kittle. I like that San Francisco offense. I feel like I want to target them. So I'm going to make George Kittle my pick at tight end, and then I'm going to be coming around here pretty quick. I'm going to see who I have available. We have a few. There's Marvin Harrison, Mike Evans, Jaden Daniels, and I will go with Marvin Harrison Jr. A little bit of hoping that this year is the year that Marvin Harrison is able to play like his old man, step up, and improve from his rookie year, which wasn't too bad, right? But I think obviously the expectations for him were a lot higher than what he produced. But at the same time, I think in that offense, just like the Atlanta offense, a lot of concentration, right? You have Trey McBride and you have Marvin Harrison Jr., and then you have a few plugs as your third wide receivers. Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, Dortch, who really screwed me last year. But you got Dortch, Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, nothing to write home about. You got a decent running game with James Conner, but that's it, right? So Kyle Murray only has Marvin Harrison or Trey McBride really, and he's making it work. So I go with Marvin Harrison there. He dropped a little bit, but not bad value at the end of the start of the fourth round. So the team so far is Derrick Henry as my running back, Drake London as my wide receiver, George Kittle as my tight end. He was picked in the third, and then my fourth pick was Marvin Harrison Jr. So I have a 1 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end build so far. Just gonna go back and looking at the the rest of the draft here. So the Chase Brown drafter has Chase Brown, Malik Neighbors, Trevion Henderson, and then takes Joe Burrow to stack with Chase Brown. Yeah, I don't know what Zen Dogs is really doing, but that's interesting there. But like I said, shit like that might just win you this tournament. So stacking your quarterback with your running back, just never know. Okay. Not ideal, but what can you do? Then you got the GNT, Brian Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans. And then you have one of the drafters here has 4 wide receivers, Amon-Ra, Nakua, Garrett Wilson, and Devontae Adams. So not bad. Your 4 wide receivers, 3 of them are on week 8 buys, so that's kind of concerning. This guy is really all in on the Rams. He's got Nakua and Devontae Adams, so Stafford better be healthy for this man. We got the Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown stack here. Lamar and Josh Allen go as well. Ted McMillan goes quite early, pick number 28. That's probably one of the earliest I've seen him go. Maybe that's how I think Marvin Harrison kind of dropped to me on that one, given that. Trevion Henderson goes early too. So no big surprises right now. Pickens, Kamara, Rashee Rice still going 50th, 51st. I mean here. Waddle, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley, and we're coming up here in 4 picks. So let's see what we have available to us. We do have DK Metcalf. Obvious concerns with old man Aaron Rodgers playing quarterback, but at the same time, you know what he does for his number 1 wide receivers. He feeds the shit out of them. But can DK actually handle the workload? Can he actually produce from it? Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think he can. I think he's going to be awesome. But at the same time, yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure with that offense, because it's a run-first offense. Pittsburgh is. So, but Metcalf already goes. But just, yeah, it's going to be interesting with Metcalf. He's going to get fed for 100%. He's getting fed. But is it 5 for 79 or is, and I can't see it being 10 for 150 and 1 touchdown, maybe the odd game here and there, but not consistently for sure. So I have a few options here. I think I will go with a wide receiver. I do have Kittle, so I do like Pearsall here. I'm going to take Ricky Pearsall. And I will talk about my next one as well. We got Igbuka. I like him. I like Debo. I like Jacoby Myers. And I like Travis Hunter. So interesting of what I can do here. And like we were talking about before, Igbuka goes. So for this one, I am going to go Debo. And I'll talk through my picks right here. So I went with Ricky Pearsall as my 5th pick. And that's because I have Kittle. So I'm looking to kind of maybe build a San Francisco stack, depending on what I can do in the next pick. If Juwan Jennings falls, I like Ricky Pearsall. If Juwan Jennings is out for any reason with that calf injury, Brandon Ayuk is still out until at least week 6, they say, and that's not for sure. You have Pearsall, you have Kittle, you have CMC, and so Ricky Pearsall playing in the slot, played the preseason week number 2 game with Purdy and was targeted like 3 times. So, obviously there's a level of trust there. Purdy seems to be okay with him. They've played last year together. He was targeted. He had some good games to close off the year. And Pearsall didn't get shot this year, which is a bonus. So obviously a bit of injury concerns. He has had some hamstring issues, but Not getting shot in the chest really doesn't helps and as a big advantage, when you don't have to deal with that gunshot wound. Ricky Pearsall, I feel like I'm going to try to build the San Francisco stack and have him and Kittle as part of that stack, obviously. And then I went with Debo. Debo is still is getting kind of slapped on in terms of okay, for sure. He's Debo. He was fat once. He had pneumonia once. So there's a lot of things yet that you have to deal with when it comes to Debo. There's the reputation, but at the same time, he is the only wide receiver they have right now that's playing with Jaden Daniels and training camp, and he looks good. Okay, got a rushing attempt in the last preseason game, 19 yards. He's gonna get targeted. Wide receiver 2. Brian Robinson's not there. Who siphons off some carries in the red zone or in the near the goal line? The Debo. Okay, so Debo is gonna be used in different variety of ways, and still as my wide receiver number 4, I'll take it. Mr. Brian Lima, thank you for joining. I drafted Tet, Genty, and Omari in Hampton. Am I cooked? No, you aren't, sir. You just have a lot of upside, a lot of unknown on your team. Obviously, all 3 are rookies, but at the same time, they have defined roles. Tet McMillan is going to be your wide receiver 1 in Carolina. So as long as Bryce Young is, ready to take that step up that he showed it last year, he's going to be fine. I think you have Dave Canales, an offensive coach, so you're fine on that front as well. And I think Dave Canales will be able to move him around and make Tet McMillan kind of like a Mike Evans. I feel like that's where he's kind of headed with his career. Then you got Genty. There's no concerns about his workload for the Raiders as long as he's healthy. They drafted him obviously to be the man there, and you're going into a Raiders Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll offense, which loves the run, and you have no concerns about backups. You got Mostert, you got Sincere McCormick. You don't got anybody that's going to really threaten his playing time, so you're good there. And you got Omari in Hampton. Najee unfortunately can't see, and so far he is doing drills. He might be back, but at the same, there's a lot of upside. And once again, draft capital, first round pick. They're gonna play him. They have a run first offense, so you're fine, buddy. I think those are 3 good players to start off with. No concerns from my end there. Coming around again here, pick number 83. So I think Juwan Jennings went, so I won't be able to make that extra San Francisco stack. But I do have So I'm going to go with Jordan Addison. Obviously, I'm missing him for the first 3 weeks. But after that, he's all good. No injury concerns. He'll be back in week number 4. I have all the wide receivers because there's no bye weeks. So that works out well. And so I am not concerned about him. So, I don't want to have to do this, but I am concerned that I might get sniped. So I'm taking Brock Purdy. So in this case, I talked about wanting to make your stacks. I have committed to a San Francisco stack with Pearsall and Kittle. I'm taking Brock Purdy here, which is pretty early. His ADP is 102. I'm picking him pick 86 because I don't pick again and pick 107. What I'm concerned about is the Juwan Jennings drafter and then possibly the CMC drafter. I think Purdy and CMC correlate quite a bit because CMC catches the ball quite a bit. So I'm concerned about these 2 idiots sniping my Purdy pick. So I'm going to be just, obviously I'm missing out on some running back depth, running back picks. I think I probably would have taken a running back there. I probably would have targeted not you, Brian Robinson Jr. for sure, but Jordan Mason, Jalen Warren, ETN. So hopefully those guys can fall back down to my pick again. But if not, I had to make that choice of taking the quarterback for that. Brian, I drafted Najee at the 12th round just in case. Awesome, buddy. Great pick there. I think it's a good idea. Whenever you have a team that is going to be featuring not two running backs all the time, but you have a clear handcuff or even a guy that might siphon off some carries, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing that, especially when if you're playing on Draftkings and you have a 20-man roster. Nothing wrong with having two of your running backs from the same team, especially if they are going to if one goes down for injury, the other one will obviously step into a big workload. So if Najee doesn't play for half the year for some reason, who else is going to back him up? Kamani Vidal. You're not concerned with Kamani Vidal, okay? You're not concerned about Rocket Sanders. Amari Hampton will be fine. Vice versa, same thing. If Amari Hampton goes down, Najee is going to eat in that role. So I think another duo that you need to take into account if you are drafting is Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. It's a public service announcement. If you are drafting Kenneth Walker, make sure you try to get Zach Charbonnet, because if one of those two is not able to play, the other will smash and is just as good as a who do we have up in the first or second? Like obviously just as good as maybe Kyron, Cook, where they were going, Henderson. For sure I would take Kenneth Walker if I knew Zach Charbonnet is not going to be around, and vice versa. If Zach Charbonnet is there and Kenneth Walker's not, feed up and we're all good to go with one of those two as the sole running back on the Seattle Seahawks, who just want to run the ball. They don't give a shit about anything else. They just want to run the ball. So, great. I think taking Najee is a great strategy and a great pick by you. So coming around again, Tucker Kraft goes. It's pretty early to know for Tucker Kraft, but ETN goes. Mooney. We got Shakir, Cup, Mason. Yeah, so I missed out on a bit of the RB depth. Like I said, there was concern for me because of the two drafters dirked. I didn't want to get dirked and lose out on Purdy to this guy. So I'm okay with taking Purdy a little bit early, and I'll try to find some running back depth. Like I have Derrick Henry, who can put up a good score, each week. So I just need somebody that can complement him, and we'll see what's available here. 4 picks away. So the running backs available, nothing too exciting. I feel like the running backs went pretty good. It's funny to see, Brian Robinson is, he's falling in this draft, right? Chances are he gets traded or cut. Like if you're not going to play him in the preseason game, you're obviously not going to keep him around. So where does he end up? Does he end up in a good spot? And is that worth taking there, right? Interesting. So Bo Nix falls. I really don't have a Denver after, but let's take Kyler Murray. I think Kyler is somebody I don't mind. I'm stacking him with Marvin Harrison Jr. He says he wants to run more this year. Another interesting stat I saw is that the Cardinals have the most indoor games this season. So that means they're playing in the dome more than any other team, and that includes their home field, but also away. They're playing in the most indoor games this year, which is a big advantage. If you don't believe me, ask Mr. Jared Goff, who and the Detroit Lions, who had the most indoor games. They had the most indoor games last year, and their offense was good. Not to say that indoor games are guaranteed to can get you points, but at the same time, you don't have to deal with the weather elements in November and December. Global warming is a real thing. So in December, you don't have to deal with the snow. You're playing indoors for majority of it. And I'm going to do something that's really wild. Bill, come on down. I'm taking Bill. I believe in Bill. Bill's going to will me into victory. So I am taking a big gamble on this one. I'm thinking that Jacory Croskey-Merritt, Bill Croskey-Merritt, like he should be a senator, but Bill Croskey-Merritt is going to take over that role of running back for the Washington Commanders. And at that point, if you're taking Brian Robinson, who you believed was the number one running back at pick 87 at ADP, that's where JCM would have gone if he was named the starting running back of the Washington Commanders. So I'm taking him at pick 110. Is this going to go up and up, right? I'm just trying to get ahead of the inevitable. If for any reason Brian Robinson goes out, like he's done, you don't think JCM is going to go 110 in a week or so? He might go even higher. Yeah, is it be way before ADP currently? Yes, it is in this draft. But when you look at it the day before the season starts, I guarantee his ADP will be around this area. Wouldn't surprise me if it peaks just above 100, just because everyone just likes to shiny new toy when it comes to a running back. Everyone just wants that new thing. But like I said, if Croskey-Merritt is going to be, and props in Washington for doing it so early, letting the cat out of the bag about Brian Robinson. But if that's going to be the news with him and Chris Rodriguez, who's been around, like, JCM's this coaching regime's pick, and I think his ADP is going to settle into the 90s to 110s anyway. So I'm just getting ahead of the curve right now. And I guarantee if I let him go, he was going to get picked. There's no way he's not getting picked, because I've seen him go now 120-ish, 130-ish. So, there's no guarantee that I would even have gotten him on the way back. But I've committed myself. I have to stick with my decision, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's look at the team right now. We have a build of 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. My 2 quarterbacks are Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray. My running backs are Derrick Henry and Bill Croskey-Merritt. My wide receivers are Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ricky Pearsall, Deebo Samuel, and Jordan Addison. Yes, Jordan Addison is to be suspended, but that's only 3 games. As long as that man can stay within the speed limit while driving, and also choose not to have any alcoholic beverages before he drives, I'm hoping I can get a 14 game season out of him. We're sticking with those wide receivers. The quarterbacks I really like, Kyler and Purdy. They offer rushing. They offer good teams. Like I said, Cardinals have the most indoor games for the 2025 season, so I think that's an advantage when you're playing in the dome. And I have Marvin Harrison Jr. to partner up with Kyler, so good on that one there. Coming around the bend, we are for pick 131. So a tight end I liked was Kyle Pitts. He is gone, so I obviously can't go there. I can possibly go with Michael Penix, and I have my 3 quarterbacks. I don't know. I really like Purdy and Kyler as is, but that's an option too. Tanks Bigsby is still available. Nick Chubb, Ramondre Stevenson, and Braylon Allen. But I'm going to go with Christian Kirk, who is one of my favorite picks this best ball season. And I think he's being slept on still quite a bit. And I'll kind of get into that one. I'll kind of talk about Christian Kirk right after I make my second pick here in this 12th round. So he takes Braylon Allen, who I was hoping would fall to me as my running back. Is Ramondre back? Let's go with Ramondre Stevenson. Not the most exciting pick, but at the same time, seems like he's still gonna have a role on in the New England offense. And obviously, Josh McDaniels likes using 2 running backs, so I think his role is safe for a little bit, as long as he doesn't fumble the ball. If he doesn't fumble, we're good. But obviously Trayvon's going to take over. So I'm not drafting for next year. This is not a dynasty draft. I'm just drafting for the 2025 season. And if Ramondre can give me a few weeks of usable, maybe 2 touchdown games, I don't care if it's 50 yards and 2 touchdowns. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care if he only puts up 50 yards in rushing, but if he puts up 2 touchdowns, that is 17 points right there. So I'll take those 17 points gladly. No issues for me. I don't argue. I'll take them gladly and move on. So I have a couple of questions in the chat. I have Trey Laughlin. Sorry, I apologize. I just followed and I need some advice. Doing an 8-man league, and someone just offered me CD, Josh Allen, and Jalen Warren for Derrick Henry, Jalen Hurts, and Devontae Smith. He's an Eagles fan. That's pretty interesting. So obviously, CD is better than Devonta Smith. I'll take CD any day. Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, very comparable, but maybe I'll give the lean to Josh Allen. But as you know, both are pretty comparable, right? The rushing touchdowns for both can vary. Jalen Hurts has the tush push still available to him. Josh Allen has the tush push available to him, and they are running first offense. And then Jalen Warren for Derrick Henry, that's the one it's such a drop off. That is such a drop off for me. And then he has Chase Brown and Amari and Hampton. So he's probably starting Chase Brown and Hampton. And so Jalen Warren's a depth piece. But you really improve on your wide receiver. That's a tough one. I don't think it's very unfair, because you get CD, and that's a first round pick in your wide receiver one. The only thing that worries me is the Jalen Warren. But at the same time, like, I don't think Jalen Warren I think he's going to be used quite a bit on the Steelers, just because he's one of the best pass protecting running backs. And you know who doesn't like to get hit? Like I said before, Aaron Rodgers does not like to get hit. So Aaron Rodgers will want to have Jalen Warren around. If you have a rookie running back for the Steelers that might not be up for pass protection, that's a concern, right? So that's a good one. That's a tough one. But oh man. And I think on the 8-teamer the only thing about 8-teamer is that like there's so much like availability when it comes to yeah, right, like there's so much like there's so many good options in the waivers because 8 teams, yeah, you know, there's going to be a lot of great options that are still gonna be left on waivers because how many people can you have on your team? And like I said, 8 teams, like I don't know how many people still do 8 teams. Like that is too, I don't know. I feel like it's not fun because like everyone has such a sick team. So but at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't know really what to tell you here. Let's go with, I don't know why Jake Ferguson is falling, but I'll take him gladly. Thank you. Okay. Let me draft these next two. Let me draft his next pick, buddy, and I'll give you my answer as to if you should do it. Anthony Richardson. Now that guy did not get the news. Let's take Samson like I talked about before, but let's circle back to my man Trey. Trey. You know what? Whatever. I would do it. Let's just do it. You know what? Because you have Caleb Johnson. Like you said, you have the rookie from the Steelers. So in the end, if Caleb Johnson takes off, you're fine. And if he doesn't, and Jaylen Warren is the one, then you're good too. So I think I say do it. I say do it because you get CeeDee Lamb, who is like a top 4 pick. Like I said, the Jaylen Warren for Derrick Henry is the one that really is the hard part. But at the same time, you have both Steeler running backs. So if one was to get injured, like I said, that's the other one's gonna smash. So for example, if Jaylen Warren goes down, they have no choice, but they have to play Caleb Johnson. I know they have Kenneth Gainwell, so there's a concern there. But I really feel like Jaylen Warren is gonna have a really big role. I think not a lot of people are talking about him because it's Jaylen Warren, and he kind of disappointed last year when everyone thought that he's gonna take over for Najee. But I think his pass protection skills are gonna be very important for Aaron Rodgers. So is it a bit of a draw from Derrick Henry? Of course, but at the same time, like I don't think you're that much off. But like I said, a lot of people don't have belief in Jaylen Warren like I do. I feel like I said once again that because of Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be expected to play a lot more. So yeah, go for it, bud. Like I said, you have Chase Brown, and like you said right now, you have Chase Brown and Amari and Hampton, so you're going to be starting off those two. Like majority of the time. And I don't think if you have the bye weeks for Chase or Amari and Hampton week 10 and week 12, you'll have a good idea of where the Steelers are at. If Caleb Johnson is taken off, then you're good. But if not, then yeah, that's just like Derrick Henry being old. It is true. Like, there is a concern there. I do feel he's not normal, for sure. But having CeeDee as like you said, as a lock is so true. And I think the Cowboys this year will be passing quite a bit. They don't have a running game, like a stud running back that they're going to rely on unless Jaden Blue is awesome. But they're going to be passing quite a bit. And now that you have Pickens on the outside, drawing attention away, CeeDee is going to eat way more, especially with Prescott and Pickens on that team. So best of luck to you, man. Enjoy the season. I hope it works out if you do it. And I hope you win that league for sure. And thanks for liking and subscribing. I really appreciate it. But yeah, feel free to throw any questions you do have. I don't have much redraft stuff on my page. I will hopefully get to that as the season gets closer, as the drafting starts for the season long drafts. I'll get some content out there, but thanks so much for your question. And now as we come down the pipeline, we are coming down to the end, the drops of a hat, the people that are your lottery tickets. One of these players will do well and lead you to victory. It's figuring out, trying to separate the winners from the losers here at the end of the draft. So Dante Thornton goes. Let's take Najee Harris. Najee can't see, but he's doing some drills, which means that he possibly is able to see a little bit. You can probably see a football coming to his face, or maybe they don't have to worry about that, and they're just sticking the football in his chest and telling him to run straight. At this point of the draft, he's fine. I'm not too concerned. I think he will be back, obviously. And Greg Roman keeps on saying that they want 2 running backs. They're gonna use both. So eventually, when he gets back, he'll be fine. Oh no! Oh man! I thought I had. Oh. Are you kidding me? Jeez. Well, sometimes your old man is not so fast. His fingers start twitching. His fingers freeze when it comes to the time to pick. And I take Jalen McMillan because I am what they call an idiot. I have taken Jalen McMillan auto drafted. I thought I had Rico Dowdle starred. I unfortunately did not press it in time. And now I'm stuck with a guy that probably won't be playing until week 9, if that. Welcome to the part of the video where I teach you what not to do when you're drafting, and that's not having a queue lined up. Not the greatest thing here. Oh man. Hopefully I didn't mess up my draft as my 7th wide receiver. But yeah. Trey, love getting new information from all different types of fantasy players. Keep up the great work, and best of luck to you as well. Thank you so much, Trey. I really appreciate that. It's great talking to you on here. And yeah, you do exactly what I do. I love listening to all fantasy players. If you listen to one, you're kind of skewed into believing whatever they think, and no one has a crystal ball. There's so much variance in football. So many injuries happen, trades, cuts, just situations are so fluid in the NFL that, it's good to kind of get a perspective from everyone. I do love listening to so many different analysts as well, just to kind of get some different perspectives, right? And then instead of going with only one perspective or one way of thinking, it's good to kind of get an idea, like for anything in life, right? Kind of get your opinions, get what they believe in as to why they like a certain player, and then go from there. At the end of the day, fantasy football is for fun. Make your decision based on what you think is the best for you, but definitely listen to a lot of opinions, get a lot of the information. I do like stats. Obviously stats help, but like I said, there's so much variance in football that we just don't know what's going to happen, and you can't predict year after year. You just kind of have to go off of the best information you have. So but once again, don't be like your dad who messed up the last pick. So let's get this kind of getting help. I got Michael Wilson because I have Kyler. I like Torrey Horton quite a bit. Ray McLeod, I can kind of make that Atlanta stack. Obviously, I don't have Penix, but that should be okay. I like Sean Tucker. anything happens to Bucky, next man up is that Sean Tucker must not die. And then we have 3 of the best quarterbacks you could ever find: Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. I'm going to see what stacking options I have. I didn't want to do it, but I guess I'll have to. Russell Wilson, bring your russet ass onto this team. I can't believe I have to do this in this day and age. I'm taking Russet Wilson. Theo Johnson obviously gets sniped because that's just my life. But let's take Darius Slayton here to kind of get that stack there as well. So stacking Darius Slayton with Russell Wilson. Is that the key to $2 million? Probably not. But if that happens and I win $2 million because Russell Wilson and Darius Slayton go off on week 17, I will donate a good chunk of change to whatever charity Russell Wilson supports. That's for sure. Yeah, so we'll kind of go through the team. We'll just look at what Trey has to say. Yeah, last year I lost my league due to CMC and Pacheco getting hurt, so injuries are super unfortunate and rough. 100%. That's why I kind of like Best Ball, because of the rosters sizes. Thanks again, Trey. Because 20 players, you know, if one was to get injured, you can kind of offset that. Does it hurt losing your first round pick in Best Ball? 100%. You know, there's obviously some hurt there, especially if you build a team around a certain situation with your running back or wide receiver. But that then, you know, but in redraft, like I've been part of a 16 team league. Oh man, like if you're injured, if you get an injury in your first couple of players in your first early rounds, you're pretty much done, because your waiver wire is looking so bleak, right? You're like, there's no one to even pick up unless you have the number one waiver priority and like a running back gets hurt and you can able to pick up his handcuff. But if you're at the bottom of the barrel for some reason, like you're saying, if you have CMC, you had the first pick, and most likely in your season long you have the last waiver priority, so there's chances are you're not going to get that handcuff if he was to go down week number 1. Yeah, no, injuries are tough, especially for season long, because like unless you get the handcuff right away, or if you have a good waiver priority, it's very hard to kind of make up for that, the loss there. But I think, like you're saying, Trey, you're in an 8-team league. I think you're fine on that one. Obviously losing 2 running backs, like you kind of mentioned, Pacheco and CMC were very high picks last year. So I'm assuming it was very hard to kind of, you know, get a high enough player that can kind of pick up the slack. But like, I get what you're saying, but at least in the 8-teamer, there are some players that are available they're passable, right? They're not complete shit like when you have a 16-team league, or even sometimes 14 teams. Like that's a lot. So that's why I always love Best Ball, because you have 20 players, and unfortunately if one goes down or one's extended, for you have 7 other wide receivers in case of your build, or you have, you know, 5 other running backs that can probably step in. But I don't know, a lot of people don't like taking handcuffs in Best Ball. I kind of do, just for that reason, that if your stud goes down, you have the backup available. So last year I was taking Jordan Mason, once Elijah Mitchell went down, yeah, like, you know, you don't want to hope for an injury, but at the same time, at least it keeps you protected if you have a good team everywhere else. So I'm probably going to go with a running back now. There's Miles Sanders available, Sean Tucker, who I like, so I'll probably go with Sean Tucker, because Rashad White is out, and I don't know how much they really like Rashad because of his rushing. But this is just a hedge on if Bucky Irving unfortunately was to go down ever. I think Sean Tucker would step into that early down role and do well. He's done well in limited opportunities, and even like Todd Bowles came out after the first preseason game, said, you know, Sean Tucker must get the ball. So if Sean Tucker must get the ball, that's a good thing. That means your coach believes in you. So barring any snipe late here, I'll take Sean Tucker with my next pick. And then we'll kind of go over our team. I think that would be it. We'll be done after these next two picks. And then we can kind of talk through the team. But yeah, unfortunately, there was an unfortunate event during this draft. Jalen McMillan was picked. I am a man that was talking about Jalen McMillan, and he's going to be out. And for some reason, I'll tell you the reason. I didn't start Rico Dowdle. And little Rico went, bypassed. I got bypassed, and I took Jalen McMillan because I didn't star the player in time, and now I look like an idiot. But Jalen McMillan will be back week number 9, and obviously once he comes back to week number 9, then he's going to rip off like 3 or 4 100-yard games, so will be all good on that front. I have Jake Ferguson and I have Kittle. I don't know if I really want to take another. I think I might take a wide receiver to offset my my Jalen McMillan pick. So let's take Mr. Ray McLeod. And I have Drake London already, so I kind of will use Ray McLeod, who will be stepping into a bigger role while Darnell Mooney is out. He hasn't been dressed up for any of the preseason games either, which is always a good thing. If you're resting with the starters, like I don't think Drake's played in any, Bijan hasn't played in any, and Ray McLeod hasn't played in any. So that means Ray McLeod is a guaranteed starter. So I'll take Ray with the Drake, and just have a little bit of a Falcons wide receiver stack with no quarterback though. At least you get some of the like I said, concentrated offense on that one as well. So we finished off. We're finished. This team might be a $2 million winner. It might not. Jalen McMillan doesn't help that. So chances are it probably doesn't. And you have Russell Wilson. So I'm starting off at a big disadvantage, but let's see what happens, right? It's for fun. You never know. If I draft a $2 million winning lineup and I have this on my stream, hopefully it gets more than a few more views. That'll be kind of cool. At least I can put that on the title. But we have Brock Purdy as my quarterback. Then we have Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson as my three quarterbacks. So Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, and Russell Wilson. My running backs are Derrick Henry, Bill Croskey-Merritt, Ramondre Stevenson, Dylan Sampson, Najee Harris, and Sean Tucker. And my wide receivers are Drake London, Marvin Harrison Jr., Ricky Pearsall, Deebo Samuel, Jordan Addison, Christian Kirk, Jalen McMillan, Darius Slayton, and Ray McLeod. And my tight ends are George Kittle and Jake Ferguson. I only took 2 tight ends, which you gotta take 3 tight ends, but no, I took 2 tight ends. I believe in George Kittle and Jake Ferguson. Both are starters on their teams. Both have different bye weeks. We're good on that. And I think both will be fine just as 2. If I was to go look for a tight end, I'm ending up with a Cole Kmet, a Darren Waller, the ex-rapper Darren Waller. So, am I really counting on those 2 to give me a week? Maybe 1 out of 17, but in that case, I'll just take Ray, given his role in the Atlanta Falcons offense, and for the Jalen McMillan pick, and a better chance of him maybe putting up a better score more than once out of the 17 weeks. So especially with Darnell Mooney out. So that's the team. Let's go back to see any questions here. My man Trey. I'm not the biggest football fan, so I like 8-man because I get people I know or rookies and not as deep, but definitely everyone has a stacked team. Yeah, that makes sense, Trey. I can appreciate that. Yeah, you know what? Maybe sometimes that's oversight on my part. Yeah, you're right. You know what? It is hard to follow 32 teams and given the roster sizes and all the news coming out. So yeah, totally understand, and that makes complete sense. I like that way of thinking. It is fun to be part of it, and you get to get a better team. Some of the players. You don't have to go deep into like best ball. Obviously, you need to have a lot of got to follow the news, got to know what's going on the depth charts, got to know who's going to play where, who's the handcuffs are. So there's a lot more nuances involved with best ball, obviously with a 20-man roster. But yeah, that makes sense. That good for you. Yeah, a team works well as well. Yeah, that's good for you. I had Jays somehow early last season, and he was nearly the reason I still made almost play playoffs. Yeah, so that's the good thing. If you can get a backup or you get the handcuff right away off the waivers, yeah, that can save your season. So yeah, for example, Jordan Mason. I don't know if Zach Charbonnet, for example, would go in your draft, an 8-teamer, depending on roster size. So someone like a Zach Charbonnet, right? Like if anything happened to Kenneth Walker, who probably would go drafted in the 8th round. Like I think maybe Zach Charbonnet would still go maybe in an 8 round. I haven't done an 8-team draft, so I don't know for sure. But yeah, so like Zach Charbonnet's on the waiver wire. Obviously he's gonna get sniped and then like the same thing with like right now if Bucky Irving goes down, Sean Tucker's not getting drafted, I know for sure, in an 8-team draft. But obviously if you have the first waiver priority, you're grabbing him, and so you just gotta be quick when it comes to any type of season long. You have to be quick, right? You got to stay up till 2 a.m. At 1:59, you gotta have the players ready. Set your alarm for 1:59 a.m. My time when I have to wake up for waivers, when it's any of the sleepers or ESPN. Wake up and quickly start picking up people. If you want to keep that waiver priority. So Zach got took by my friend who was a Seahawks fan, so he got both RBs, but I'm definitely trying to learn more handcuffs. Yeah, so so it makes sense for him because he took Kenneth Walker. He's a Seahawks fan. He probably has a pulse on what's going on, and he knows that if one of the two are out, the other one's gonna smash. That's one thing I think that's the biggest thing I would say, Trey, is learning about the backups for running backs especially. Now, is there a guarantee that the backup is going to take over the whole workload and get 100% of the touches? It depends on the team. A lot of the teams, even if the starter goes down, they're not definitely going to give it to the backup. They might use a committee instead, so they'll probably use running back 2 and 3. But in the case of Seattle, like that's a 1-for-1 for sure. Maybe in like, for example, CMC was to go down now, Isaac Guerrero, and maybe I think is it Jordan James, who's the other running back. Maybe they both get mixed in because, but I think actually because Jordan James is a rookie, like Guerrero might just eat, right? Like he might start for a 1-for-1. So there's a lot of places where there would be a 1-for-1, but there's also a lot of places where they would go into a committee. So it is important, like for handcuffs. Like I don't think it's a bad decision taking, and like I said, it just kind of protects you from any injury concerns. Like the interesting one, I guess, would be Miami right now, right? Devon Achane has that calf injury, and like you can tell, like you probably know better than me, by taking CMC last year, calf injuries are no joke, right? If your running back has a calf injury beginning of the season, oh man, right? Like that's some deja vu right there with CMC last year with a calf injury, and we all were aware of it, but we still wanted to believe that he'd be fine. So in the case of Miami right now, it would probably be Jalen Wright. But the thing is, Jalen Wright hasn't looked good this preseason, so I don't know how much it's gonna affect his the regular season if Devon Achane isn't able to start the season. Like I don't think they're gonna give Jalen Wright all the work because Ollie Gordon's looked awesome, right? Like he's looked pretty good. So same team, Jalen Wright can barely churn out like 3 yards per carry, but Ollie Gordon's is ripping 4 yards per carry. So there's a thing that could be a timeshare there. So I think when you have situation like that where there's no clear-cut starter, then you're gonna have a committee. But yeah, that Miami one's interesting. Okay, like I have a lot of Jalen Wright because I thought he was gonna he'd complement Devon Achane well and maybe be a good use in the goal line, but like he can barely punch it in. He can barely punch in the ball, and maybe it is a little bit we're overhyping it. But I don't know. A little bit different, but I don't know. Jalen Wright's giving me like Zamir White 2024 fears, right? Like where he should have a good role, but if he can't, and then you have a rookie behind you that's like doing well, like if Ollie Gordon is doing well and he puts up another big game in the third preseason game, like I don't know how you don't have him have some carries in the first few weeks, right? If Devon Achane's out. So like you kind of said, handcuffs very important when it comes to fantasy football. Wide receiver depth can be unique, but I think when you have the running backs, you for sure want to make sure you're aware of who to pick up, or maybe who to draft in the last round if you do want to kind of offset that injury risk for your top 2 or 3 running backs. So in the case of, like, for example, Chase Brown, you have Chase Brown. Taj Brooks would be someone to keep an eye on. If anything happens to Chase Brown, Taj Brooks chances are he'll probably take a lot of the early down role, and he has a pass catching capability. So he probably, I don't know, there's obviously some AJ Ryan, but like, I don't know, why would you at that point, what you have in P Ryan, Taj Brooks 3 down back if anything happens to Chase Brown for sure. So that was the $20 draft. Gimme $20. I have dropped it on Jalen McMillan's head. I've dropped it on Russell Wilson and Darius Slayton. Just kind of going back and talking up some of the picks here. Ricky Pearsall, I feel like, is going to have a good role in the 49ers offense to begin with. Him and Kittle is, teamed up with Brock Purdy on this team. Debo Samuel as well. I feel like he has a good connection with Jaden Daniels from all the camp reports, preseason game usage. And I think he's so far the wide receiver 1 until Terry McLaurin comes back. But even then, I think it's going to be pretty similar. I don't think they're going to really be that far apart when it comes to fantasy points this year. Kyler with Marvin Harrison. Marvin Harrison didn't have a great first year. I think he'll probably be okay this year. It seems like he's getting targeted quite a bit from Kyler in camp reports. Maybe there's a level of trust here that's kind of developed. I know Kyler came back from a knee injury last year, so he's kind of slow to start with. But maybe this is the year they get back on the same page. And Marvin Harrison did have a lot of red zone targets that he couldn't convert into touchdowns. So maybe those can get positive regression there, and he has a better season than last year. I think hopefully better than last year. Christian Kirk gets slapped on, like I was saying, quite a bit. Christian Kirk is going to be starting on the outside as the second wide receiver with Nico Collins. Preseason game usage in the preseason game number 2 kind of dictates that Christian Kirk will play in the slot when there's 3 wide receivers, and he will play on the outside when there's 2 wide receiver sets. So why not pick 100 ADP? We assumed Jaden Higgins would get that role, and he was going before Christian Kirk. But now that we know Christian Kirk is getting that role to start off the season with, I'm not saying that it's going to happen all year, because you obviously have rookies that are top-notch wide receivers. But to start off with, like, I'll take that risk, and why not get him at 120? Ramondre Stevenson still has a role this year, I believe, as long as he can hold on to the football. Travion is awesome. He will push him quite a bit. But I think close to the goal line, you might have Ramondre that will take those carries away. Jake Ferguson was just a faller. No rhyme or reason why I took him. He fell to me. I needed a second tight end on a prolific passing offense. And he fell to 155 from ADP of 140. So almost a full round. It is a full round drop, more than a full round drop. I don't know for what reason. Everything looks okay. Yeah, lower back issue. That's fine. Okay. Is he still with a Cavender twin girl? Like, who knows, man? All those like Instagram, TikTok videos probably does make your back hurt. them dancing around and doing whatever. And then I took Dylan Sampson. Judkins is still not signed, people. Okay, stop jumping on the Judkins bandwagon. It's 2 to 3 weeks left before the season starts, and he's not signed yet. Okay, and why are we taking Quinshon Judkins before Sampson? I don't get it. Regardless, if Judkins is back, Sampson still has a role. They drafted him this year. They've talked about his pass catching ability. So, like, fine, let Dylan Sampson fall to the pick 158. Like, that's fine. I still don't get, like, I understand there's obviously with Judkins, there's quite a bit of, so he goes 119. There's obviously outlook, but he's still not signed. He hasn't joined a training camp. He hasn't had one practice. He doesn't have a contract. Okay. If you don't have a contract, last time I checked, if you don't have a contract, you can't play in the NFL. So he's not playing yet. And so I'll take Sampson gladly. Najee C, Najee Harris, PSA, NFL players do not touch a firework. Like I said, he's part of the Chargers offense that's wants to run. And as my, was he my fifth? No, he's my sixth running back. So as my sixth running back, no, he's my fifth running back. Sorry. As my fifth running back, that's a gamble I'm willing to take. Yeah, he is doing drills, so he is on his way back. That's what it is. Jalen McMillan, obviously Jalen McMillan, because like he's gonna smash when he comes back in week 10. No, I'm just joking. I got auto drafted Jalen McMillan because I didn't hit the star fast enough for another player. So Jalen McMillan, just there. I'm just holding on to him. He's a lottery ticket, guys. That's just trust me, lottery ticket. I had two quarterbacks in Kyler Murray and Brock Purdy. Did I need a third? Like, that is something I really struggle with sometimes. Obviously injuries happen. You got quarterbacks that run with Purdy and Kyler. Not so much with Kyler as much as they used to back in the day, but there's still the risk of running quarterbacks getting injured, pulling something or getting tackled. I really struggle with that. Like, do I need a third quarterback, right? Comment if you think I needed a third one or not. But I took Russell Wilson, easy pairing with Darius Slayton. I thought I could possibly get Theo Johnson, but Theo Johnson went pick later. So I do the Russell Wilson and Darius Slayton, who, who else loves throwing the long ball? Russell Wilson to Darius Slayton. So, I think Darius Slayton gets kind of slept on for the reason as Darius is the long ball guy. That's what they kind of keep him on the outside for. Russell Wilson does throw a good long ball, right? Say what you may about Russell's waistline, whether or not we should call him Russet Potato or Russet Wilson. The guy can throw a long ball, okay? He was throwing long balls to, what's his name? Mike Williams last year on Pittsburgh. George Pickens got some good moon balls. Darius Slayton he's good at that. That's maybe one thing he's good at. But the other thing is, Mr. Malik Neighbors gets hurt quite a bit. He does play through it, but he is prone to injury. So here's the game, I think, where Darius was stepping in for Malik Neighbors, who didn't play. 8 receptions, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown. I think that was with Drew Lock. Okay. So it wasn't even with Daniel Jones. I think it was with Drew Lock. And so 11 targets in week 5, 11 targets again in week 6. Something happens to Malik Neighbors. I think this man will step into a bigger role. So let's take that risk there. And then I took Sean Tucker. I think he's a valuable backup or handcuff if anything happens to Bucky. Obviously, Rachaad White is there. He's injured right now. We're not sure his timeline, but if he was to come back, I think Sean Tucker would get all the early down work. So that's just taking Bucky Irving's backup. And then I took Ray McLeod because Ray McLeod has not been playing in the preseason, so he is kind of considered a starter along with Drake London and Kadero Hodge and Kyle Pitts. So if Ray McLeod has a big role and while Mooney's out, that works well for me. And I have Drake London, so they kind of stack together. Even when Darnell Mooney's back, Darnell Mooney's going to be back. He's still going to play in the slot. Ray will. So we're good on that as well. So that's the team here. Like I said, obviously a mistake with Jalen McMillan. What would I have done? I probably would have taken Rico Dowdle. Obviously my draft would have looked a little bit different, but Pierce, Otten, Dowdle. Yeah, I would have taken Dowdle. Maybe Mason Taylor. I really like Mason Taylor. And maybe a Torrey Horton. I probably would have taken Torrey Horton for sure there. So I probably would have taken Mason Taylor, Dowdle, or Horton over Jalen McMillan. And my man Trey's back. Last question, then going to get some more advice. My bench wide receivers are Rashee Rice, DJ Moore, Debo, who could become a flex throughout the season. Obviously, it's Rashee Rice is the big question mark. We have no idea if that man's going to get 4 games, 6 games, 8 games. Some weird thing about they're having a obviously his disciplinary meeting is held on September 30th. We don't know if that's going to be if that's going to take a few weeks to happen, and then they got then they're going to discipline him. There's so much unknown with that, right? We just don't know what's going to happen. They have a week 10 bye, so obviously that doesn't count. So he could potentially miss, like I said, might play the first 4 weeks and then miss like 10 games and then come back. But I really think, I don't know, like a lot, and like you kind of mentioned, listening to a lot of people, and I've been doing the same thing with Rashee Rice, and you know, I listen to NFL Network on Sirius XM, and then you listen to all this fantasy analysis, and no one knows for sure how many games he's gonna get. But I think his charges are pretty severe. Like, he has to go to jail. Okay, he has to go to jail for 30 days the next 5 years. Like, he is getting jail time, right? That's pretty big. Like, I know it's only 30 days out of the next 5 years, like, but that's something like that's pretty big. And I think the NFL does want to does take that seriously. So I don't think they're gonna just say 4 games. Like, I don't think it's 4 games. If Jordan Addison got 3 games, there's no way he's getting 4 games. Like, his was a lot worse, right? Like, so I think with Rashee, like I think a minimum at least 6 to 8, and I think anywhere from 10 to 12. Like, I just think like the NFL is going to want to like make an example out of him, like about making bad choices with driving, like just like Jordan Addison obviously too. But I think, like, you know, putting people in the hospital, like, he's very lucky. Okay, like Rashee Rice, like I know this is a very like grave topic. Like, no one wants to talk about guy crashing and hurting, but like dude could have been like Henry Ruggs, right? Like, what Henry Ruggs did was, like, you know, so tragic and deservedly, like, this shouldn't be in the NFL. He killed a person just because of just for what, right? Like, just being stupid and getting behind a wheel and driving really fast and under the influence. Like, why? You have so much money, you have so many opportunities in life, and just by just driving fast, like, and you killed somebody, like, you ruined the whole thing you worked for in your whole life, right? You know, your dream, just for over a stupid decision. So Rashee Rice is very lucky he didn't kill somebody. He obviously hurt a lot of people, but I think the NFL, and I think he deserves it. Like, he should get, like, sorry Zach, sorry Trey, I know he's on your team, but at the same time, like, I don't have patience for players like that. I know it's fantasy football, we draft him. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say I haven't drafted him. I have drafted him, but I feel like he is going to get made an example of, and I think that, like, I really have doubts about his season after week 4. Like, if he was to come back for, like, maybe for example, if he gets 10 games and it takes 2 weeks, like, he's out for the rest of the season. So, like, we don't know for sure. Trey, I can't really give you a decent answer with that one, buddy. But Hollywood Brown is back. Okay, so Hollywood Brown was dealing with an injury in training camp. He's back. He's practicing. So if obviously the first 4 weeks are going to be Worthy, Rice, and Hollywood. So Rashee Rice will probably eat the first 4 weeks. He's going to do well. So keep him on your bench because you are going to use him the first 4 weeks. I'm not going to say you're not. Keep him on your bench, but keep an eye on Hollywood Brown. Because after week 4, if Rashee's out, Hollywood Brown and Worthy are left. And I think if Hollywood can stay healthy, if the guy cannot catch a break, guy can't stay healthy for more than 2 weeks. But if he can stay healthy, Hollywood could be a good pickup if after week 4 for sure, after Rashi's meeting. No, I drafted him late, and good for you. I think it is a good pick if you are drafting him late. Everyone's passing on him, got him in hopes maybe late in the season, but I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, so like I said, no one really knows what's going to happen, but good for you for picking him late. It makes sense. You do want to pick players like that have question marks. I think early season injuries affect players' draft picks. So like obviously Achan's going to fall now because no one knows for sure of what's going on with him. So players like Achan, there is potential value. Like, it can go we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know. It can go either way. Maybe he's healthy after week 1 or 2, maybe misses first couple of weeks, and then Achan's back and you get him in the 4th, 5th round. Like, take him 100%, right? And if he doesn't, then it is what it is. You took a risk and it worked out, or it didn't work out, right? That's the fun of fantasy football. But Rashi, like if he's dropping in your drafts, like at least you can get guaranteed 4 weeks, for sure. So far, like you're going to get 4 weeks of production. So if that gives you 4 wins, because he puts up like 15 to 20 points every game, because he is obviously Mahomes' number 1 guy, take the 4-0 and start off with the season with, and then figure it out after that, right? At that point, maybe there's a wide receiver that's available because you have an 8-teamer, so you'll be fine. You might be able to find somebody, or like I said, Hollywood Brown might be available. So if you want to pick up Hollywood Brown at that point, because it'll just be him and Worthy, or even a Jalen Royals. We don't know how he's a rookie right now, so I don't know how, but his role might grow. Maybe with Rice playing the first 4 weeks, it kind of gives Royals the ability to kind of get used to the system a little bit more, get some regular season action under his belt, and maybe by week 5 or week 6, when Rashee Rice is gonna be out, you can have Royal step in and be a bigger part of the offense. So I think you have a lot of options, Trey. But like I said, take Rashee Rice for the first few weeks. And then figure it out after that. We'll obviously have some better clarification in October once his meeting's done on September 30th. So, but if I do the trade, and so the one that Trey kind of mentioned a trade before, I'll kind of go back on that one. Let's see if I can find it here. So that's the trade Trey is talking about. He was offered CD, Josh Allen, and Jalen Warren for Derrick Henry, Jalen Hurts, and Devonta Smith. So he's saying that if I do the trade, my wide receivers will be Justin Jefferson, CD Lamb. Oh my God. Jeez, that's like my wet dream, man, having those 2 wide receivers on my team. So I'm not too worried about him. Just need someone to flex, so that may play some. So I just need someone for flex, so may just play some until flex gets suspended or someone else. Yeah, you're fine, buddy. You got Justin CD Lamb, who I'd really think about, taking a picture of and keeping in my room as a proud moment. But yeah, you're good. You have Rashee for the first 4 weeks as your flex. You are doing something right. And then you have Debo as well. And I think Debo is going to surprise a lot of people. So you got Debo as well. So you're good. You're good there. And like I said, there's so much unknown on Jalen Warren. So if he's like doing really well, you have the capability of putting him in the flex as well, because you have Chase Brown or Marion Hampton. So you're good. You're good. And I think the good thing about like you said, the 8-teamer is there's gonna be somebody available. So if you ever need to stream a player based on what's happening, like I said, it's hard to kind of keep up with the news, but if you're able to pick up somebody as well to kind of put in your flex, depending on the matchup, I can think you have that possibility as well. But I think your 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers are good. And you have the option of Debo as well as your flex. And Debo contributes in so many different methods. He can catch the ball, he can rush, and depending on what happens with McLaurin, obviously Washington doesn't give a shit. I don't know if JCM has already been drafted. Maybe take a flyer on JCM as well, Bill Croskey-Merritt. And if those 2 are your playmakers now, if McLaurin gets traded for any reason, I don't think he will, but if he does get traded, Debo's number one wide receiver, and then JCM is your number one running back with Brian Robinson gone. So, you're looking good, buddy. Take a picture of your team and send it to me so I can have some nasty thoughts about it. Anyways, thank you for everything. You seem very kind and knowledgeable, and hope only the best for you throughout your YouTube and fantasy. Trey, I appreciate that. That means so much to me. Just starting off with this because I just love fantasy football, trying to share as much knowledge as I can. Do I know what I'm doing? Probably not. But like you said, it's good to kind of get everyone's opinion. I do have some opinions about football, about certain players, just based on other, so it kind of carries forward. Like I listen to other analysts, and I listen to things on Keep My Ear on the Street. So I'm able to share that with you, and I kind of add in what I personally believe from what I've watched over the years with football and different situations. But yeah, perks of an 8-man league. My God, I gotta join one just so I can just like smile throughout the whole draft, right? I just take my favorite players, like I know they'll end up on my team. But I just think of the 8-man league, I get too, like, I wouldn't know what to do. I get too trigger happy, right? Just taking all take 8 wide receivers, thinking I have to take like wide receivers when you're doing best ball, right? Or best ball, or if you're in a 14-man or 12 team league, you have to like take certain positions right away because they kind of run out. But I definitely would have I think I probably have like 6 wide receivers to start off with, and then like 2 running backs, and my team composition would be really messed up. But but I think, but good for you. You said that you like doing it because it's easy to follow, and I definitely recommend that. Like what you said makes so much more sense. I never saw it from that perspective. So good for you. Like I said, like the only piece of advice I'd be keeping your ear on the pulse of handcuffs, making sure you kind of grab those as you kind of go on throughout the season, even if it's a flyer, right? Even if you think sometimes like it's good to kind of see how running backs are doing. Sometimes running backs aren't doing that well, and they're easily replaceable throughout the season if the backup is doing well. So just follow that news. I like to use NFL player news, or Roto. It used to be called Roto World. They have a good news blurb that updates quite every day. Every second there's news, they update it. NFL, and it's on NBC Sports. It used to be called Roto World. I keep on calling it Roto World, but it's NBC Sports /fantasy/football and then /player news. So NBC Sports is awesome because they have all the news up. They have all the up-to-date news available, and then they'll add on the blurbs as to like they'll analyze it as well, and then kind of give you their take on what the news is and what's going on. So definitely use that as a resource throughout the season. Okay, everybody. I just saw Trey's message. Please keep in mind, this is an 8-team league. So if you need some time to yourself, I can dim the music a bit. Maybe put on something nice. I don't know if you want to light a candle, get the mood right. But let's just see his lineup right now. I don't know if there's a not safe for work button here. But I don't want to get anyone too excited. Just be prepared, people. Things are going to get kind of hot and heavy. After trade, starting lineup will be Josh Allen, Chase Brown, Marion Hampton, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Trey McBride. Ready for the season. Got my favorite squad in my money league, so I'm ready. I don't know, like Trey, I don't know whether I should cry, tears of joy. I don't know if I should just smile my ass off. I just don't know what kind of emotion I should show after seeing your lineup. I don't think I've ever said these players in the sequence that they've been put in. I don't know. I really tempted to take a picture and put it in my room. Fine art. Josh Allen is your quarterback. Chase Brown, Marion Hampton, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Trey McBride. I would drop my mic right now, but it's attached to an arm. can't do it. Like, awesome team, my friend. You are looking good. You're fine. You're sitting pretty. You got 2 stud wide receivers. You got a lot of your running back room is just full of like potential. We already kind of know what Chase Brown is. We've seen the best of Chase Brown last year late in the season, and what we think it's going to continue this year again. No concerns there, barring injury, fingers crossed. And Omari and Hampton, obviously a rookie. We don't know what we're going to get. But when you're the first round pick of a running offense with Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman, you're fine. Okay. And if your backup, unfortunately, isn't able to see further than 7 feet, you're looking good so far. I think you said you picked up Najee already, so you're good either way. And I think Omari and Hampton can do some wild things this season. I think he is electric, and he will be, even if in the first few weeks he's not getting all the carries or not getting all the touches, that's fine. But when you have a capable quarterback, you have a good passing game, he's going to do well. So good luck to you, my man. I think you're going to be fine. You do deserve the $100. I don't think you're going to have any problems. Obviously injuries are the biggest suck when it comes to fantasy football, but at the same time, it's important to pivot. It's important to understand, where you can change your lineup or where you can change your team or which players to pick up. So like we talked about before, handcuffs are so important. So make sure you're doing that. That is it for today. I do appreciate everyone that joined in when they did. I enjoyed talking to my man Trey. He just sent me a nice piece of art. I'll leave it on here before I leave, because something so beautiful should not be left behind. I will ask everyone to please like and subscribe. If you like the content today, if you like Trey's lineup today, please like and subscribe. I will be going hot and heavy, like Clyde would say to Elaine on Seinfeld, going in hot and heavy these next few weeks as preseason 3 rolls around, as training camp news rolls around, as the potential cuts, trades, all those things are going to be coming in hot and heavy. We are going to be drafting best ball teams. We're going to try to win $2 million. We're going to be drafting Jalen McMillan. We're going to be doing a lot of crazy things. We're going to be taking JCM. Like I said, JCM is somebody I'm going to be targeting. Do not wait till pick 150, 160. He's going to be going up to 110, 100 pretty soon here. So just get ahead of the curve and start doing that right now. But like I said, please like and subscribe. It helps me a ton. It helps me understand that people are watching out there. It helps me understand that people care about what I say or they don't. Please leave a comment. If you don't, tell me that Russell Wilson, Darius Slayton won't win me $2 million. Also, let me know if I did need a third quarterback in this team. I'm really on the fence if I needed a third quarterback, but like to see what everyone else thinks. So once again, thank you so much. Love everyone here. And I will be back. Maybe not. I'll try to come back today if I can. But if not, I will be back this week and we'll do another draft. And please draft safely. Make sure you enjoy it. Fantasy football is fun. Keep your ear to the news. And it's coming out fast. It's coming out heavy. It's coming out hot. And we're going to want to make sure we get it. And your fantasy football dad is out of here. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.